So I wanted to clear up some misconceptions about two different types of insurance jobs that I keep getting questions about on my YouTube channel. So I figured I would just make a video.
You in the past, I'm in the future. You mad?
Thank you guys so much for clicking on this video. If you're new here, my name is Keela Trishan and I make videos on lifestyle, womanhood, mental health, and I'll throw in some vlogs here and there. Day in the life in the insurance industry, day in the life with a toddler, all the things. So if that's something that you're interested in, go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Be sure to turn on your notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you are returning, thank you so much for coming back and thank you for your support. Okay, so as I prefaced, I've been getting a couple of comments on some of the videos that I make regarding insurance, and it seems like there is a, misunderstanding, for lack of a better word, of what a staff adjuster is versus an independent adjuster. So I wanted to just kind of do a quick video and clear those up for you. Just for reference, I am a staff adjuster, so I work for an actual company and I am on payroll, but there is a difference between what I do and then what an independent adjuster does. So because I've never done the independent adjuster role, I'm going to explain it from my level of understanding and just what I've talked about with independent adjusters. So if there are any independent adjusters that are watching this video and I say something that doesn't sound right, definitely be sure to comment below so we can all learn from one another. And I'm also going to throw in public adjuster as well, because I've had that question come up a couple times. So I just want to kind of, clarify the three for you guys. So we're going to be concentrating on staff adjuster versus independent adjuster, but I will kind of throw in public adjuster since it is another form of adjusting. So if you are curious or you've had questions or anything like that, definitely go on ahead and stick around. Okay, so I'm gonna first talk about being a staff adjuster. Now, typically being a staff adjuster simply means that you're working for a major insurance company. So a lot of times this is where most people start, because this is where you're gonna get the bulk of your training. Outside of there's some training classes that you can pay for. If you wanna just kind of do independent adjusting or public adjusting, you can kind of do that on your own if you're interested in that side of it. But as a staff adjuster, you get your training from your company. So you're actually put on payroll and you handle all of the claims that are given to you. So typically you're given a certain amount of claims per week or per day, however it works out. Being a staff adjuster, you can either do homeowners insurance, you can do auto insurance, you can do workers' comp insurance. There's so many different ways that you can go in that particular realm. For those of you who have watched my insurance content, I have done auto and I do home. So I have experience in both of those fields. So yeah, you're hired by a company. They typically will train you, and they're paying for the training. So this is just kind of a part of the job. They train you on their way of doing things. They train you how to read the policy. They go over all of the rules and regulations with you, different things that you have to stay compliant with within your state, all that stuff. So your company is going to give you all this. Also, if you're a staff adjuster and you're going through a company, then typically any equipment that you would need to do the job. So for example, for homeowners, field adjusters, which is what I'm going back into, the company will pay for all of your equipment. So your laptop, your phone, your vehicle. You'll have a vehicle. You typically will have to pay something for the car per month. It's usually not a lot, but in general, they're paying for the insurance on the car. They're paying for the gas in the car, that kind of thing. And depending on the company, you can use this as your personal car if you don't have a personal car, or sometimes people will give up their personal car if they had one and just simply use the company vehicle as their own. There's a lot of different ways that that's taken care of in that industry. And again, you work on the claim. So usually you're going to be hourly or salary, depending on the company, and you just work the claim. So it's not like you get any special money or any incentives per se, to work on these claims. You just work the claim based on the policy, based on your expertise, and you just adjust it. So it is probably the easiest way to get into insurance, because you can start entry level and then work your way up. As I talked about before, there's different areas of insurance that you can go into. So I did a video about a year ago, just kind of talking about 5 different areas, and I'll probably do an updated video soon to discussing that, now that I have way more followers than I did back then. So yeah, basically very simple, but as a staff adjuster, you are getting all of your training from the company. They pay for your equipment, and in some cases they will pay for you to get certain licensing. Depending on the job that you have, you may be required to get licensed in that state. Sometimes you're able to simply work off of the company's license, so it just really all depends. And whatever company you're working for, they'll explain all of that to you and give you all the information so you are well prepared. And they'll let you know, hey, we'll pay for this, we'll pay for you to take the test this many times. If you don't pass after X amount of times, you gotta pay. It's a lot of perks in that way where you don't have to pay for a lot of these things. It's either paid for up front or reimbursed to you. So yeah, that is basically a staff adjuster position. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted to mention about the staff adjuster position that I forgot to mention in that previous part is that you are like customer service oriented as well. So not only are you adjusting the claim and you're making sure that you're paying for the person's damages, or if there is no coverage, you're like preparing a decline letter and explaining to the person why there's no coverage. You are responsible for keeping that person informed. So like reaching out to them and giving them like any information as the claim moves forward. So it's a big piece of you just simply having to like follow up and make sure that you are letting them know what's going on at each step of the way. And then also like being available if they have questions that come up, or if they don't think their estimate is enough or something like that. You are kind of on the front line answering those questions. In some cases, it may go up to management if it's something that's like out of your control or something that is like over your authority limit. That's another thing. You'll typically have like a certain authority that you can pay out, and anything over that will have to get looked at by a manager. So yeah, there's that customer piece. So you are basically trying to make sure that you're doing everything correct technically, making sure that you're staying in compliance with all of the rules and regulations, and just like adhering to the policy. But you are also trying to make sure that you are keeping your customers happy by just keeping them like informed along the way, and then also making sure to answer any questions that may come up, and in some cases like playing a counselor, because when you work with claims, when you work with people that have gone through something to cause them to file a claim, they've gone through some type of loss. So you essentially are just kind of like there to assist them along the way. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is an independent adjuster. So from a staff adjuster standpoint, typically independent adjusters are used in insurance. They're a third-party company typically. So the actual independent adjuster is usually like a 1099 employee. So it's almost like they kind of have their own business. So in that instance, they are usually paying for their equipment. I don't know if there are companies, like if you work for a company, if they will sometimes provide the equipment. That I'm not really sure of, but my understanding and from the people that I've talked to, they are responsible for providing their own vehicle. If it's a situation where they're having to go out and take a look at homes, possibly like get on the roof, they have to provide their own ladder. They need to provide their own equipment, their own computer, things like that. And they do need to have some type of understanding, well, not some type, a lot of understanding of the programs that are used, like to write estimates and stuff like that. So they go out and they act on the insurance company's behalf, either because the insurance company doesn't have like enough staff, maybe in a particular area. It could be a catastrophe situation where they don't have anybody on their team that's equipped to go and look at those claims. So they'll send an independent adjuster out to go and take a look at those claims. And that independent adjuster is basically gathering information and putting together an estimate. They don't pay anything. So what they do is they kind of give a report based on what they saw. They take photos to give back to the staff adjuster that will be handling the desk portion, or however the insurance company handles it. This is just kind of like my experience, but they usually will kind of go out there and be the eyes, and they'll do the physical investigation, and they'll give their recommendations based on the policy. So a lot of times with independent adjusters, they're working with multiple different insurance companies. So they have to have kind of at their fingertips all these policies. So let's just say, I'm going to use a couple of like major insurance companies that everybody's probably familiar with. So like they might be doing adjusting for State Farm, and they might also be doing adjusting for Allstate. So what they'll do is they'll have State Farm's policy, they'll have Allstate's policy, and like certain things may be covered in Allstate's policy that's not covered in State Farm's policy, things like that. So they have to be familiar with what the guidelines are for all those insurance companies when they're putting together their reports and when they are putting together their estimates. because there's some things, and it could get very technical, so I'm not going to even get into that because you would have to be an adjuster to understand. I probably will eventually do like a super technical video just for people that are getting into the industry and don't quite understand what's going on. I think that'd be very helpful. And if you think so, go on ahead and comment below, especially if you're getting into like field adjusting. I would be more than happy to help you because I struggled a lot. But anyway, there's like a lot of like little technical nuances that like this insurance company may take into consideration that this insurance company doesn't. So as an independent adjuster, you have to kind of be aware of that and make sure that you write your estimate adhering to whoever's policy that you're working on. So in some cases, like while you're on site, you may be explaining things to the customer, but ultimately when you give your report, your photos, your estimate, when you give that all back to the adjuster or to the insurance company that's handling the actual claim with the customer, that adjuster will actually take care of whatever with the customer, answer any questions, and if any changes need to be made to the estimate or the customer doesn't agree, then that adjuster will typically reach out to the independent adjuster, which we call IA in the industry. We'll reach out to the independent adjuster to say, hey, do you think this is warranted? We'll kind of work together to come to like a conclusion. So with an independent adjuster, just to kind of like sum that up, they are typically a third party company that the insurance company will send out on like to work on their behalf. And what I can say is that insurance companies typically like to send their own people, their own staff adjusters out to go and look at damages when at all possible, because they're already paying us. And so it's kind of an extra expense with an independent adjuster, but independent adjusters are needed because there are sometimes things that the staff adjusters just simply can't handle. Maybe they don't have the manpower since, the staff adjusters are handling all of the claims, whereas the independent adjusters are only handling certain claims. So in some instances, it just makes more sense, especially if we're trying to make sure that the customer is taken care of in a timely manner, which is the goal because of all the rules and regulations. The insurance company will hire a independent adjusting company or independent adjuster, have them go out, take a look, do the work. So then they bring that information back to us. We don't have to actually physically go out, and then we can just kind of interpret the information and make sure that we're taking care of the customer on that end. So as an independent adjuster, typically you're not having to follow up with the customer, which can be a benefit if you're not like really into customer service. So yeah, and then also too, my understanding is that independent adjusters will get paid by the assignment that they do. And also they will make sure that they are giving the customer the complete benefit of the doubt, all the benefits of the policy, because my understanding is that the more money they can get approved on the estimate, the higher their percentage is to get paid out. So with the insurance company, the goal is to pay you the right amount, to get your home or car fixed. There are some times where things can be missed. So a lot of times with independent adjusters, they're going to make sure that they get every single little thing because it also helps them with their pay. So yeah, you're a little more on your own, a little more independent as an independent adjuster. You just kind of work on the insurance company's behalf. Okay, so the third type of adjuster that I want to talk about is the public adjuster. So I don't have a whole lot of like technical in-depth information about public adjusters, only because the times when I've worked with them, the ones I've worked with haven't been so nice. I've only worked with a couple that have been like, personable and like just kind of willing to like chat with me and stuff. But typically the public adjuster almost works as like a power of attorney type for the customer. That's kind of the best way I can describe it. So when someone hires a public adjuster, it's basically an adjuster that works on behalf of the customer. So the customer would hire this public adjuster. Now, a lot of times in my experience, and I'm not saying this is like all the time, because I don't know if it's all the time, but just in my experience working as a staff adjuster and just, in my dealings, a lot of times public adjusters are hired because either the customer thinks that the insurance company is trying to withhold money on something, so they have this public adjuster kind of as their liaison between them and the insurance company to try to get all of the money owed to them. Or in some cases, they might be like, especially if there's like some type of natural disaster or something, sometimes public adjusters will go out and kind of find people that are in need of this type of service and just kind of market themselves in a way where, hey, we're going to make sure that your insurance company pays the dollar amount that you need to be paid to get your home or car or whatever back whole. So one thing that I want to clear up, because some people don't understand this, I've had this kind of misunderstanding with customers, if a customer hires a public adjuster, that's completely up to them, but the insurance company is not going to pay the public adjuster's fee. So that's something that needs to be understood. If you as a consumer hire a public adjuster to assist you and to make sure that you get all the money that you're owed because like maybe you feel like your insurance company is not doing what they can, any fees that the public adjuster is charging is going to come out of your settlement. So let's just say your settlement is $10,000 and I don't know, you have a public adjuster and they were able to find some things that was missed by the insurance company. So now your settlement is $20,000. So typically the check is going to be made out to you as a consumer and to the public adjuster, and the public adjuster is going to take their fee. So sometimes the fee is 15%, sometimes the fee is 10%. I don't know all the fees. This is just kind of like what I've been told by customers because I've never really looked at like the contract, but their goal is to get as much as they can because the more they can get you, the higher their percentage will be. So that's another form of adjusting where they would essentially have to have a copy of your policy or the policy, whatever insurance company you have. They'd have to have a copy of that policy to kind of know what's covered and what's not, and then to know if the insurance company is not covering something that they should or, you know, whatever. So there can be kind of issues sometimes with the public adjuster and with the insurance company because as a staff adjuster, we have our goals and guidelines that we have to adhere to, but then sometimes the public adjuster will come in like, no, you need to give such and such this. And just speaking from a staff adjuster's point of view, it's not at all that the staff adjuster doesn't want to pay a certain thing. Sometimes it just might be something that's like out of our control, or if we get the feeling that we are being swindled, because that will sometimes happen. Like I can say that there have been times where it just seems like people are trying to pad the estimate, you know. And here's the thing, as a staff adjuster, we don't really care what the dollar amount is because you pay insurance to be made whole. So whether making you whole is going to be 10% or 10,000 or making you whole is going to be 100,000. We don't care as long as you have the coverage. It's just when we're in a situation where we feel like we're being swindled or where we feel like, you know, somebody's trying to get over on us, that could put our job in jeopardy, you know? So that would be, I would say, just kind of like based on my experience. I'm not saying that all public adjusters are bad, so I definitely don't want to put that out there and make it seem like, you know, it's that. But there is kind of like that conflict of interest in a way because the public adjuster is trying to get more money to make more money, which is completely understandable. That's your profession. But it can kind of work against a staff adjuster because we're trying to make sure that we're adhering to the policy so we can keep our job. So it's just a matter of coming to like an agreement, coming to like a happy medium, and essentially trying to make everybody happy. So yeah. All right, you guys. So I do hope that that information kind of cleared up what the different roles are. Again, I've gotten some questions about just kind of what I do, and it seems like there's a misconception that independent adjusting and staff adjusting are the same. They are very similar, just like in the technical details and stuff like that, the physical part, very similar, but they're very different overall. So I hope I cleared that up. Again, if you are an independent adjuster, even if you're a public adjuster and there's something that you like to add, please be respectful, but you can definitely leave it in the comments below. People that are watching the insurance videos, I just want to make sure that you have like all of the information that you need to make an informed decision if you're trying to get into the industry. And also if you're just like a consumer and you're trying to just understand how this works, because I do think that the insurance industry, although there are a lot of people that work in it, it's still kind of like this phenomenon where people think that it's like us against them, and you know, it's not that. You know, we're human beings and we're, you know, trying to make an honest living just like the next person, but it's a complicated job, and it's complicated whether you're doing what I'm doing as a staff adjuster, whether you're doing independent adjusting or public adjusting. I do think that there is a people piece to all of it, because in each like situation you are working with people, it's just kind of in a different capacity. So yeah, I hope that this helped. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments. I'd be more than happy to answer. As always, if it's something that I cannot answer, I can at least try to direct you in a way where you can get the answer, you know, to satisfy that need. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely go on ahead and give me a thumbs up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm. Share it with somebody who is going into the insurance industry, or, you know, somebody that is in the insurance industry and just needs some clarification. Please share it. I'm trying to get this information out there. If you're not already subscribed and you made it this far, definitely go on ahead and click that subscribe button below. Be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. And with that being said, you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you next time.
You mad, they don't salute you. I need a bag, size is super. They turned your back, it's like I never knew you. Leave that